Right, pen. Welcome to today's training. This is all about creating a high converting client strategy, a content strategy that will convert your fans, your followers, your audience into clients. So what I'm going to start with here is your positioning. So this is kind of ensuring that your posts, your content, I'm going to talk a bit about kind of what that's going to look like in a second, but your content is positioned from a place where you are clear yourself on exactly who you are. So this is about, so let's just put this up here. So this is about knowing who you are. So who you are in your positioning is about understanding what makes you credible. So what's your credibility story? What is it, what have you done throughout your life that brings you to this point that you now are passionate about sharing with others? Your struggle is your greatest strength, is what I always say when it comes to you as a coach. What struggles have you navigated and overcome? And as a result, that sets you apart as being a credible solution for your ideal clients and where they are. Also, when you think about who you are and your credibility factor when it comes to your positioning, what skills do you bring to the table? What experience do you bring to the table? What are your natural talents and gifts, your career, professional, your professional background? All of those things lead in and build in to who you are, so your credibility factor. So you want to have this really dialed in order so that as you go out there and you start communicating in your content, you start just talking about what it is you do, that credibility will shine through. It also really adds to your confidence as you're showing up. You feel really confident because you have conviction in who you are, what you do. You know that you're the credible solution. That's powerful. So understanding who you are, as in what makes you credible as a solution for your ideal client. The next thing to really have nailed in and dialed in is who you serve. So I know this is kind of going back to basics, but this is critical. Who you serve. This is your ideal client avatar. Making sure that you know exactly who it is that you're here to serve, that person who has the problem that you solve. So who you serve, making sure that, again, that's really dialed in. The third thing here too is, so who you are, who you serve, what you do. So this is your niche. This is the thing you do to help your ideal client get from their base camp to the summit. What's your niche? What do you do? How do you help these people specifically? So again, having that crystal clear will enable you to position yourself as the expert you are, as the solution to your ideal client. And your why. So, you've heard me say this before, probably a million times over. When I talk about your why, I'm not talking about your personal why, if you like that. I want to make X amount of money so I can go out there and, take my kids on holiday. I can create an incredible lifestyle. I've got the freedom. All of that is wonderful, but your clients don't care about that. So that's not the why we're talking about here. This is like the Simon Sinek why, the mission that your clients will resonate with, that they will get on board with. It's like your business mission that has a bigger impact. So really understanding who you are, who you serve, what you do, and why you do it, as in the context of the world, the bigger picture, the difference you want to make in the world. So really having your positioning dialed in is critical to be able to create client converting content. Okay, so the next thing, you know me, I love a bit of alliteration. So the next thing we're going to talk about is your process. Your process actually forms the bedrock, if you like, the basis of all of your content that you're going to create and put out there. So if this is critical for you to be able to just begin to understand who you are, what you do, who you help, and all of that, that's you getting crystal clear in your mind, so you can articulate and communicate with confidence, be really clear, and over time rise above the noise on social media very, very quickly. You can do that when your positioning is really dialed in. The process then creates the foundation for all your content moving forward. So what do I mean by your process? Well, this essentially is your coaching offer. The process that you take your clients through to get them from, so for example, you've got your client, this is Basecamp. Basecamp, can you read that? So, is that too small? Basecamp, this is where you find your client, where they find you, that initial period. This is where they're in pain, okay? And they want to get here. This is the summit. This is where they want to get to with you. This is, once they work with you, they'll be at the summit, whatever that summit looks like. It's the top of their success mountain after they've worked with you. So this is where you find them. So this, as you saw in my post promoting this free training this morning, I talked about the 3 a.m. I know 3 a.m. My clients know 3 a.m. That, waking up in the middle of the night, really stressed out, not knowing where the next bit of money is coming from, not knowing how you're going to pay your bills because you've got no clients, and that anxiety and stress, having invested tons in, the pain. So this is Basecamp. This is the bottom of the mountain. Now, your process, when you think about how you help your clients get to the summit, wherever that summit is for you in your particular niche in the field you are in, there will be a series of specific milestones. Doesn't matter how many, 5, 7, I'd say no more than 8, normally key milestones. These are the steps, the individual milestones that you take your client through in order to get them from Basecamp to summit, from their A to their Z. So when you think about what's your process, this is the coaching package that you create. So you have these series of milestones that you're going to take them through. So if I think about, okay, so in my example, my ideal clients, they come to me, what they're doing isn't working. They've invested, like I said, a ton in courses and programs. They're not moving forward. They are at wake. They know 3 a.m., my ideal client. So when I think about my process to get them to signing, paying clients, 6 figures, enjoying their life, having a business that they're proud of, that is, just fulfilling them, then there is a series of milestones. So for example, I might start with mindset. Most of the time I do start with mindset, because when they're in this state at Basecamp, the first thing I need to do is kind of get them to think differently, to shift their perspective, to open up their the paradigm of what they think is possible, to all open that up for them. A lot of my clients, they don't need that. They're ready to move forward, but a lot of clients need mindset. So I will have my mindset processes to help them overcome just that initial period of lack and scarcity. The next thing then is, say for example, well, it isn't an example, it's true. I take them through the clarity, what makes them an expert, getting them clear on their niche and their ideal client avatar. So that's a key milestone in the journey I take my clients through. Makes sense? So then the third one would be the offers, creating high ticket offers, creating the offer variations. This one is the marketing milestone, helping them to create marketing and position themselves as an expert. This one is sales, and actually there's a 6th one, which is the ascension plan, which is scaling. So there are clear milestones that I take a client through from Basecamp to summit. Okay, so when you think, if you haven't done this yet for yourself, if you haven't mapped out the process that you take your clients through, I would strongly suggest that you do. This is an essential part of you being able to position your value to be able to talk to your clients and teach your process, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. But this is essential to get your process laid out. You know, this works for everybody. And whatever you do, if you have a problem that you solve, which you do, you'll have a specific problem that you solve that is the main number one problem that your ideal client suffers from. You've got your process that will get them out the other side. And maybe you think, well, I don't know, I don't really have a process. I just did it. Well, you can break down how you achieved what you achieved. Because where you are, trust me, where you are in comparison to where your ideal client avatar is right now, where they are, you represent the summit. You represent what's possible for your ideal client. So you don't have to be at the summit. You only need to be 2 or 3 steps ahead of your ideal client to still be able to powerfully serve them. But as a combination of your skills, your gifts, your knowledge, your talent, you are able to craft these key steps. Okay, makes sense? So, you know, as an example, I was kind of thinking, what other examples are there? You know, for example, the public speaking coach for corporate women. So she's struggling, she's not confident, she goes into boardrooms and she's shaking, she fluffs her words, she feels stupid, she feels herself blushing, she's got to do a keynote at a conference and she's terrified, she's making herself feel sick with stress, waking up. So imagine that's this corporate woman who needs confidence public speaking. So that's her base camp. The summit for her is at the next year's annual conference, which she has to speak at. She feels amazing, she's confident, she rocks and nails her conference, her presentation. So as a public speaking coach, for example, you might have different milestones such as state management, techniques for overcoming fear, how to structure a great presentation, how to tell a story with impact, the structure, sort of body language and breathing. So you have these processes. So that's what I mean by the process, okay? So once you've got this nailed on, you've got your milestones clear, okay? Once you've done that, this is then how you turn that into a converting content, client converting content. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and you're going to have all of your milestones. So say you've got, I don't know, six key teaching points, 6 key milestones. All right, these are your milestones. Let's just say milestones. All right. Within each of those milestones, you can come up with subtopics, right? So you'll create a grid like this, and you might come up with 5 or 6, maybe even more, subtopics that you can talk about within each of those key milestones. So, for example, my 5th step is mastering sales. Once I know, and once my client can really master the sales, then she's on to the next level, but she has to master sales. So within the sales, I've been coaching, mentoring in sales for over 20 years now. I know there are lots of key things in sales that she needs to get through, or my ideal client needs to cover. So for example, it might be things like a subtopic would be overcoming objections. Another subtopic might be managing your state around the sales call. Another subtopic might be how to confidently talk about money. Another subtopic might be 3 mistakes that I see coaches making all the time that acts like client repellent on a sales call. So there's all these keys, like little subtopics that all come under that sales milestone, that maybe come up time and time again with my clients, or just stuff I want to teach under that milestone. So as I have subtopics, as I start to fill in this grid with all different subtopics that are aligned with each of the key milestones, I then basically have, say I have 5 subtopics, nice and easy number, 5 subtopics for each milestone in my process. So if my client goes from that to that, they go from base camp to summit, and then I have all my subtopics. So what I've basically created with all of this grid is 6 weeks worth of content, because now I'm going to call that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I now have a content calendar that teaches my process, that is completely aligned with my mission and my message, that sets me out as an expert because I am talking about everything I know that is part of the processes that gets my client to their result. And I've got a great content calendar that is easy to follow, and that every day for the next 6 weeks I can wake up, look at my calendar, and I know what I'm going to talk about. Make sense? So you can do that, and that forms a really solid basis. So as you go through this, at the end of 6 weeks, you can just go back to the beginning and do it all over again. Maybe you'll do it slightly differently, you'll reword your headings differently, but you have a basic structure. What you'll also do as time goes on through this process, you are attracting clients, you're signing clients. Those clients, those calls you have, they will give you further inspiration for more content, to flesh this out, to pad this out. So let me just see what we've got going on. Okay, all right, so nice to see you. Hey Mark, Catherine, hi guys. So yeah, Irina, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, so that's going to be your content structure, and I just love this process, because what you're producing is you're standing out as an expert. You are teaching what you know, and it's all aligned with the ultimate process that is your unique, like your success formula, as I like to call it. So that's how you begin to build out your content strategy that is high converting, that will attract people, because everything you're creating, it's aligned, it's what they need, it makes sense, it all forms part of the bigger picture, and you know, it's all specific, and it will resonate with your ideal client. Okay, so the third point is pain. Talking about the pain that your ideal client is in. So you want to, let me just think about how I want to put this. When you I see a lot of posts out there, and they're nice. I understand them, you know, they make sense, there's nothing wrong with the posts, but what they lack is a real sense of the pain that their ideal client is in. Because in order for somebody to sign with you and pay your high ticket prices and work with you and get invested in the services that you provide, they have to be at a level of pain that will see them making an investment. And often these investments, you know, working with you, thousands, I hope. So they're at a level of pain. What a lot of coaches don't do is really dig into that pain in their content. And so what happens is the content is bland at best. Now, what we want to do with our posts is we want to create what I call the OMGTM factor. Now, the OMGTM factor, it's very, very technical. I'm not sure, you know, it may take a few live streams to explain it. But basically what the OMGTM factor is, basically it stands for, oh my God, that's me. This is the factor. This is what you want to create in your content. You want to create the OMG, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, are you reading my mind? Oh my God, are you in my head right now? That's what you want to create with your content. So even this morning, the post that I put out there that was promoting this one, I talked about the 3 a.m. I know 3 a.m. I already got messages, private messages. I got somebody commenting on the actual post saying that totally resonates. That resonates. And the way I can communicate and install in my posts the OMGTM factor is because I know how it feels. I've walked a day, a week, a month in the life of my ideal clients. Oh my God. The dark night of the soul has nothing on me when it comes to the pain of when I, was struggling in my business. So I know exactly how it feels. So you've got to connect. When you think about who you serve, your ideal client is always where you once were. So really connect to that pain of where you once were, how it felt for you. And that's when you start to create the OMGTM factor in your content. So let me tell you how to do this. There are words that are quite kind of, I suppose, big words, I want to say, words that I see all the time that, will resonate or that stand out for a lot of coaches. So classic words could be, say, for example, frustrated. We see that word a lot. Are you feeling frustrated? It's frustrating, isn't it? And then you talk about the problem. Overwhelm. Overwhelm's a big one. Overwhelm. How do you spell that? Overwhelm. Stuck is another one. So these three words, there's so many more, have you lost your confidence or, those kind of things. Frustrated, overwhelmed, stuck. They're big words. We know what they mean. They have a very broad meaning. We know how it feels to be frustrated, overwhelmed, stuck, whatever. So, however, when you think about, let's take overwhelm as an example. When you think about your ideal client and you describe in your post, that perhaps your ideal client is feeling overwhelmed. Most coaches leave it there. Are you feeling overwhelmed? This is what you need to do. Or I know what it feels like. It was really overwhelming. This is, next bit of the post. What they tend to miss out at their cost, if this is you, here, listen up, is how it actually feels to be overwhelmed. And you might say, well, Sanaa, you've just said, you know how it feels. We all know how it feels to be overwhelmed. But actually, overwhelm is different for everybody in the context that they're experiencing it. So let me give you an example. If your ideal client, say your ideal client is a busy mum. She manages a home. She's got, 5 kids. She's a soccer mum, as they call them, a soccer mum. She's the taxi driver. She's the chef. She's the domestic engineer. She pays all the bills. And she's overwhelmed. That's your ideal client. And she's experiencing overwhelm. Tell me how it feels for her. How does it feel for her? The running around, the dropping the balls and perhaps, sending little Johnny to school. And because she's so overwhelmed and she's scattered, she's stressed out, she's irritable, she's snapping at the kids and it's not their fault. She sent little Johnny to school and they forgot that day he had home economics. So he went to school, poor Johnny, with none of his ingredients for cookery class. And he's embarrassed, he's angry, he's sore at mum. So he comes home, has a go at mum. Dad comes home from work, little Johnny runs to dad and says, Mum didn't pack my ingredients for cookery class. Dad's looking at mum, why not? What went wrong? She's experiencing, all these emotions and feels like she's failed, she's feeling guilty. That's pain. and you've just described overwhelm for that woman. But imagine your woman is a corporate, high achieving, driven, she's in her 30s, fast and furious, living the lifestyle, but she's a high achieving corporate, no kids, and she's overwhelmed. How does that impact her? It's very different. Yes, she's still dropping balls, but what does that look like? She's turning up late for meetings. She's avoiding her boss because she hasn't met the deadlines. Maybe she's running to work. She traps her heel in a pavement, cracks it, so she limps into work with one heel off, one heel on. Feels very different. The whole experience is very different. So don't just write in your post that you're overwhelmed, asking your client, are you overwhelmed? Agitate it. Tell me how it really feels for that individual. Makes sense? So it's really powerful. It makes so much difference. That's when you get the OMGTM factor. Oh my God, that's me. That's when people will feel totally understood by you. They will reach out to you and say, that post blew my mind. It's like you're in my home right now. It's like you're in my head right now. How can I work with you? You will attract people to you. And you will get those who will be an instant, oh my God, you describe my life. How can I work with you? You clearly are the solution. Or you get people who are just, they're following you. They'll reach out after a few months. I've been following you for months. That's what you'll get. And either way, it doesn't matter. They will come to you when they're good and ready. But you've got to get really dialed in to how it really feels to feel this pain. Okay, and what you'll get is you'll get people, first of all, they'll notice you, then they'll take note, then they'll start sitting up and taking notice, starting to follow you, and then there'll be clients. Okay, so that's pain. Let me just check if there's any questions at this point. My eyes are going wonky. Okay, we're all good. Anna's in the house. Hey, Anna. All right, so final one is perspective. I'm chuckling because anyone who knows anything about me, I am addicted to alliteration. And I was really struggling to find a P for this one. Now, all of this is critical, but you can have all of this. Seriously, you can have all of this nailed on. But if this is in the toilet, it doesn't matter what you do up here without this. Now, this is perspective, but what I'm actually talking about is mindset. Same thing. It's your perspective, it's your mindset. So it doesn't matter how fancy your funnels, how masterful your marketing, it doesn't matter. None of that matters if you don't, if you're coming from a place of negative, if you don't believe it's working, if you are not grateful for anything that comes your way by way of engagement, if you are moaning about the noise on social media. So this really boils down to, I hope you can see this, the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect. The effects are your results. The cause is your thinking. So if your thinking is stinking, if you're coming from a place of this isn't working, or if you're coming from a place of I need clients, what will this get me, when you put a post out there, if you're coming from a place of lack, desperation, neediness, fear, doubt, then that's going to show up in your effects, in your results. So there is no escaping the law of cause and effect. So what I'm telling you here is, before you put anything out there, before you do all this work, make sure that you are connected to why you're doing it. Because I know that you're coming from the best intentions, that you've got a burning desire to make a difference in the world. You have a burning desire to help people. You know, not one of us would put ourselves through the mill that is online coaching entrepreneurship and go through that kind of those hoops, put ourselves through the mill, face the fears and push through. None of us would do that if we didn't have this driving, this purposeful desire to make a difference in the world, to help people. And so you've got to come back to that and be in that energy, that frequency, when you come to make your content, when you come to put it out there, when you come to do your live streams. And I tell you something, you know, this was a huge shift for me. Times where I've been putting posts out there, you know, going, why is nobody reaching out, what's going on, and putting more content out there, and then spending all my time analysing the posts for flaws or what might be the thing that's not making people buy. And yeah, it's important, check your posts. I'm not saying just chuck stuff out there. That's what all this stuff is about. You know, write well, do it well, check your posts, but ensure that as you're writing it and you're putting out there, you're connected to your who, to your ideal client avatar, to the people that you're here to serve and you want to help, because that will shift everything. It's like being really connected to your purpose, and that's the difference that makes the difference. Okay guys, so that's the training for today. It's understanding your positioning, what makes you credible, what makes you an expert, knowing that all your skills, your experience, your talents, all of that, put it together so that you've got your credibility factor nailed on. Dial into your ideal client, who it is you serve, understand what you do, the problem you solve, what your niche is, how you do it, and then of course your why, that bigger mission, the bigger message that you have that your audience will buy into. The process, talked about that, how you get your clients from base camp to summit, the milestones in between. Look at those milestones, break them into subtopics so you have weeks worth of content that is all aligned to your mission, your message, your ideal client. It will resonate. In your content, when you're talking pain points, agitate them. Don't just say those big words that you think everybody knows what it means. Be specific as it pertains to your ideal client and exactly how they're experiencing that pain. And then, of course, you've got to shift your mindset. If you're in a place of lack and scarcity, if you're comparisonitis, you know, that's a big one. Looking at what everyone else is doing and thinking everyone's doing better than me, or I'll never come up to scratch with them, or, you know, often you're looking at people who've been in the industry for years, doing what they're doing for years, and comparing yourself. You've been out for a few months. It's just, you know, it's not fair on yourself. It's not going to work. So ensure that you're doing the work on yourself to align your desires with your beliefs. That's the best way I can put that. Align your desires with your beliefs. Yeah, and that's it. So let me just check if there's any questions at this stage. So yes, Irina, do we offer a solution? Absolutely. So when you come to, if you're describing the pain, then you're offering a solution as it, you know, it kind of comes naturally through the post. So if you're, you know, for example, look at the post I did for this training. I described the pain, and then I described the solution as, we'll get on this live training. You know, this cuts through all the crap of all the, you know, dazzling funnels and all of this. This is organic growth. This is about, this strategy that I just shared with you is about forming a strategy that's just organic, that you can go out there and share your content. But absolutely, the post is the pain, then you create the impact, or you agitate the pain, and then you provide the solution to the pain. So that's one post framework that's very powerful. So yeah, absolutely. So Karen's saying, for the subtopics, are there key types of content you use every week? So for example, let me just give you a quick example. So it might be that you set specific days. So when we come, let me just come back to the calendar. So you've got your calendar, okay, and you've got 7 days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, la la la. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Let's have Sunday in there as well. So if you're going to have a 7-day strategy, Sundays you might decide, well, Sundays I'm going to just do it's going to be testimonial day, or Sunday success share. I was doing that for a while. So you might say, right, every Sunday I'm just going to put a testimonial out there and wrap it in a bit of a case study. How did my client achieve this result? So that might be something you structure for yourself every Sunday. Saturday could be a day that you do live Q&A. You could go into your community if you have a group, or you have gathered questions over the week from your community or from your clients, and you might just do a live stream every Saturday, a live Q&A. I've seen that works really well. Set time every week. But when it comes to your subtopics, what I would do, and what I have done, is, say for example, this is, let's go with sales, because that's just an easy one for me. So say week 1 is my sales week. So I may, at the beginning of the week on a Monday, position it by saying, hey guys, all this week we're going to talk all sales. Anything about sales, any questions you have, just ping me and I'll do a live stream or I'll create a post. But this week we're talking all about sales. So then you might think, right, I'm going to structure 5 pieces of content, subtopics, that covers the subject of sales for that week. Yep, makes sense. And then week 2, all about marketing. So all my subtopics, Monday morning, hey guys, this week's marketing week. You could do it that way. Or you could do it, I've seen other people say Monday could be Mindset Monday, Tech Tips Tuesday, something relating to your niche. But this is the easiest way I've found it, just to have my milestones for each, 1 milestone per week, and then 5 subtopics within that milestone. So do we link agitation back to our story or not necessary? So Karen, let me know if that answered your question in relation to key types of content. So not necessarily, Irina, we don't need to link agitation back to your own story. So it could be something, say for example, let's do soccer mum, right? So you've got, are you feeling overwhelmed? You're a soccer mum, you're feeling overwhelmed. Then you go into agitation. This is what's going to be happening. You're probably feeling this. And you agitate it, so you write all about, you're snappy with the kids, last night you had an argument with your husband and it blew out of control for no reason, you're embarrassed because you forgot, you overlooked it was bake day, whatever, you agitate it. So it really has nothing to do with you, but in agitating it, you're making it very, very clear to your audience that you know exactly how it feels. And then at the end, here are my top 5 tips for starting to shift from overwhelm into empowered, or whatever it is. So then you would go into giving a section of your solution, a micro glimmer of your solution in that same post. But I think through doing the pain, the impact and the solve post framework like that, you automatically stand out as the solution, because you're so succinct in knowing the pain. And you're providing a solution, which means you have the solution. So the way, another analogy that I always give when it comes to this type of thing is, they say, don't they, that if you can describe your ideal client's pain better than they can, you automatically stand out as the solution. And the analogy I like to give is, if you've ever Googled a symptom that you might be you know, a rash or something that's appeared on your body, something a bit weird, and you go Google those symptoms, what do? You find, so Google will come back and bring you all of kind of some articles or matches to what you've just searched. And as you hit on an article and that article describes those symptoms, it also will add a few more symptoms that you didn't notice earlier, but as you're reading, you're thinking, oh yeah, actually, I've got that too. And yeah, I did have that the other day as well. You start to see the extra symptoms that you hadn't noticed before. So what do? You keep reading. You keep reading because you assume that the author of that article has the solution, which means you automatically assume the author of that article is the expert that has the answer, can help you, or she can help you. Makes sense? So that's the analogy I always give when it comes to creating content that positions you as an expert by describing the pain. Which post do I share my story? So you can do that anytime. You know, so this is a structure. So what I often say is, right, you've got your basic structure. So if ever you're stuck, you don't know what to talk about, you wake up thinking, what am I talking about today? You go straight, and it's Thursday and it's week 5, then I'll talk about this. But it gives you so many weeks of just content that you can pull on. When you get inspired, you know, I'm a big one for seat of my pants type of content, which my VA has like really had to pin me down, so I need some content. So I will often create content that just comes from an inspired place. I know you've all done that. Really inspired content, you put it out there, and then you might capture it as well and save it so you can put it out another time with a different graphic or in another group on another day, whatever. So allow for inspired content. When it comes to story posts, they can come out anytime too. You know, you might have, you know, it's often worth thinking about what are specific times that a story post might be relevant. So often I will put out a story post around the annual anniversary of me starting my business, for example. You know, it's been 3 years, it's been 4 years, it's been 5 years. What have I learned? When did I, you know, what did it look like? What was life like for me? If there's a milestone, I might say, you know, a year on, I might say, wow, only a year ago I was here. And as a result of this, this and this, I'm now here, and, you know, life's amazing. So you can put those story posts anytime when you feel inspired or at specific key dates, that kind of thing. So Karen, yes, it makes sense. I've been doing an article, story post, promo, authority, value post, personal post, we're using 5 days. Yeah, that's great. That sounds amazing. It's whatever works for you. It's whatever works for you. But as long as, I say as long as, when you're teaching what your pathway, my coach calls it the pathway, but your key milestones, when you know the process and you teach on that, it sets very clearly that I have a solution. Hey, you over there, you in pain, come this way. I've been there. I have a solution. I know how to get to the summit. I've done it myself. I can help you too. And that message comes across continuously as you're teaching on your formula, your system, your process, whatever you want to call it. But those key milestones. So continue to teach that stuff. Teach what you know. But yeah, that structure's great. If it works for you and it's really leveraging your authority, you're positioning yourself by describing the pain that your ideal client is, then absolutely, absolutely. The other thing I'll just say about sort of client converting content and a way to make things easy is about leveraging your content. Leveraging your content. You know, I know it took me so long to kind of master leverage because I was just one for constantly putting in new content all of the time. Until I really started thinking, hang on a minute, I need to start leveraging this stuff. So if you say this live stream, for example, I have done this one live stream, it's, I don't know how long it is, 45 minutes, nearly an hour. What I could do is I could take this live stream, I could get it transcribed, send it off to Fiverr, or I don't know who does, online, somebody could transcribe it for me. I could get that transcription, I could neaten it up, pretty it up, it becomes an article, I could put it on LinkedIn, could be a blog for my website, I could pull chunks out of that. So I've got key, chunks, posts for each one of these 4 Ps. My VA would come, she takes quotes, she creates posts from my quotes, so that's a ton more content. I could take this video and actually cut it into sections. So I've got 4 videos that teaches each of these individual points, because a lot of people don't want to sit and watch a full 45-minute hour video. So instead they're going to watch 4 15-minute chunks or whatever. You can take this, again, using this live stream, I might write an article on LinkedIn or a blog, and I will talk about, high converting client content strategy. And within that article, I will embed the link to this live stream. So, in a section, I'll be saying, this is how you do it. If you want to watch my free training, then click here. So not only are they on LinkedIn, reading my article, they've clicked on the video link, they've hopped over to my Facebook, so you can start to get people moving around your content. You can share this with your email, share your videos with your email list. So leverage that one piece of content. So I did a challenge in this group last year, and I've just pulled that challenge of 5 videos, pulled those 5 videos down, edited them a little bit, created some worksheets, created a lead magnet. So, and that builds my list. So you can start to see the possibilities of leveraging your content as well. So Karen, I think that's where I've had the gap. I've not mapped out my process clearly, even though I've used it on my last 10 clients. Yeah, so that's brilliant. So you can see, and this is, when you have taken a chunk of client, like 10 is a good number, and you start to notice, what do I say over and over and over and over? What are the things I repeat? And that's value, that's good content, you put it out there. And also it helps you to start to map that process really clearly and formulate your process, because that's what really will help you to start to charge premium high ticket rates for your services. People want to see that there is a clear pathway, that if they work with you, you will get them to that end result, because there is a clear pathway. Okay.